Hello everybody, and welcome to my very first long-form instructional video. My name is Joe, and I am the Little Joe part of Little Joe's companion birds. Well, what we do here at Little Joe's is in two parts. The first part is breeding and hand-raising various small to medium-sized parrots. Everything from lovebirds and budgies to cockatiels, conures, quakers, and ringnecks. The other part of what we do here, we do a lot of rescues, rehabilitations, and rehomings, especially since the end of COVID. And we do rescues of all types of birds. At any one time, half the cages here are full of the rescued adult pairs. You're here for rehab, evaluation, and going on to find new homes. And at any one time in the brooders here, we have between 30 and 50 babies in hand feeding. And some are bred here, some come in as rescues. In fact, immediately after the COVID restrictions lifted, we had over 120 babies here in hand feeding that were surrendered to us in the following month. And this video will be a general overview of the hand feeding process, broken up into 5 stages, into 5 separate upcoming videos. I will only go into each part briefly here in this video, just to give you an idea of what is what goes on here. And I'll go into more detail in this video at the end on why we do hand feeding, basically to get our companion birds. The hand feeding setup I have here has been in continuous use for about 8 years now. It is the best setup that I've come across. Easy to use, easy to build. It is the result of a lot of research and rebuilding and planning and rebuilding and usage and rebuilding and a lot of trial and error and rebuilding and rebuilding. Now, a lot of people aren't familiar with what the concept of hand feeding really is. Basically, hand feeding is to take a baby bird out of the nest at a young age before the fear response to human has developed, and putting them into a setup where they can be hand fed by a person. That makes them tame, and it turns them into companion birds. As you can see here, you cannot do this with a parent-raised bird. They usually have a higher fear or aggression response. A hand-fed baby will turn into a tame adult that is just happy to be with you. Now, I will be putting out a new video every week. At first, it will be a continuation of the hand feeding videos. Then I'll go into other topics concerning general bird care, bird health. Things like picking out and choosing and setting up a proper size cage. Bird feeding, chop, bird health, bird care, safe wing trimming, safe nail clipping, videos like that. And I'll also be continuing to put out many videos, several a week, of the babies that are currently in hand feeding. You'll see them in the brooders, you'll see them during hand feeding, you'll see them in the grow-up cages, at play, during training. Just a lot of fun stuff. Now on to the 5 major parts of the hand feeding process. These parts are nesting, brooding, hand feeding, weaning, and training. The first part, nesting, a lot of people do not consider this to be part of the hand feeding process, but in reality it is one of the most important parts. Happy and healthy parents will give you strong eggs that will hatch out into happy and healthy babies. The happier and healthier a baby is that goes into hand feeding, the happier and healthier they are coming out of it. The faster they will grow, the more they will thrive. The second part, brooding, is all about giving the babies a safe place to live during the hand feeding process. It is an artificial environment that closely simulates the conditions we found in the nest. This means to be able to precisely regulate the temperature and humidity and maintain it at a constant level. It gives them a safe place to grow and that keeps them warm and it's clean. Very important to keep the babies clean. Food goes in and poop does come out. The third stage is the hand feeding process itself. The actual act of giving the babies their meals. It takes place anywhere from 3 to 5 times each day, and even when they're young, in the middle of the night. This involves feeding them a formula with a syringe. Formula is much like a baby formula for human babies. Powder, water, mixed together, served at a precise temperature and a precise consistency that must be maintained from feeding to feeding. The next step is weaning. And that is the process of weaning a baby bird from the formula being fed to it to self-feeding themselves the adult food they'll be eating for the rest of their life. The seeds, the pellets, the chop, which is fresh vegetables, fresh fruits. And it is done gradually, usually starting when they're about 6-7 weeks of age, when they have a full mantle of feathers on their back, chest, and belly. And it's done in conjunction with their gradual move from the brooders into a grow-up cage. The last stage of hand feeding is training. It's also one of the most important stages and is often overlooked. A baby that is only gets contact when they're being hand fed, they will be used to human contact, they will be used to being picked up and handled, but they won't learn how to look to their people for things like play, exploration, comfort, and companionship. You will have a tame baby, but not necessarily a friendly baby or a companion bird. And those are the 5 stages of hand feeding. Now, on to the main meat of this video, why we hand feed. There are 2 main reasons why hand feeding takes place. One is survivability, and the other one is tameness. I'll go into the first one first because it is the simpler one to explain. Survivability. Now, in nature, a bird, a parent pair that has babies, they will have the baby will have a survivability rate in the nest of about 30% in the wild. Life is hard for a baby. There's predation. There's the ups and downs of temperature, and whole clutches are often lost in nature. In captivity, naturally parents raise babies. They can have a survivability rate of anywhere between 60 to 80% in good conditions, but oftentimes there will be babies who are just lost. Whole clutches can be lost. Whole clutches can be abandoned. Oftentimes, the last babies to hatch will be a lot smaller than the first babies that hatch. These smaller babies won't be able to reach up as high to ask for food during a parent feeding. They won't be as vocal, as noticeable as their much larger siblings. They can often be overlooked. The parents will feed the older babies, the bigger babies, with a higher chance of survivability. They will get fed first, and then they will go on to the smaller babies. This means that the smaller babies won't grow as fast. They will remain smaller. They are at risk of being trampled, of being smothered. Oftentimes, they will even be eaten by their nestmates or even their parents. In fact, sometimes birds will abandon a whole clutch for no real apparent reason. People who are parent raising babies at home, they will notice that their parents haven't been in the nest all day. Going and looking inside, they will see that babies are cold, their crops will be empty, they haven't been fed for a while, and there's a good chance the nest has been abandoned. At this point, we have to step in, pull the baby for hand feeding. This is why it is always important, before the first egg is even hatched, to have a hand feeding setup, even a basic one, ready to go, and it has been tested to show that it works properly. Now, the other reason for hand feeding, what would we do here? To have a tame bird, a companion bird, a bird that comes out of hand feeding, friendly, likes to be handled, likes to be with their people, that will go up onto a finger, that you can pick up, hold, you can play with them, you can pester them. They like to be with their people. Like Bess here, she is a green quaker. She was a hand-fed baby. She came to me as a rescue about 10 years ago with her bonded mate Levant, a son Connor. He was not hand-fed. It took him quite a while before he would come onto my shoulder, and several months before he came onto my head, and that he would come to me. What helped greatly is that because Beth was hand-fed, and it only took her a couple of days before she got really friendly with me. Wherever she went, her friend Levant would follow. But still, to this day, Levant is not as friendly as Beth. He is right here. Let's see if I can go pick him up. I got to the point where I get him onto my finger for short periods, long enough for him to hop onto my shoulder to join his companion Beth. I can't really get too close to him because he does not like hands very much. I cannot go and pick him up. He will come onto my finger sometimes, but we continue to work with him. He shows improvement every year, but because he wasn't hand-fed, where he is now is pretty much a good place. He does spend most of the day on my shoulder, on my head, on my hat, chewing it up. And that's mostly because he wants to crawl around his bonded companion, Beth. And she loves to be with her people. She'll sit on my shoulder. She'll copy the sounds going on around her. She'll fake me out with her fake ringtones. She'll make the sounds of the doors opening and closing. And she just wants to be with me pretty much all of the time. This is what a hand-fed baby will be. Even with her, she is getting a little older now. She is well past middle age, along with the Levant up there. But still very friendly. Of course, with a hand-fed baby, they do have to come out every day to be with their people, especially if they are kept as singles. They will not be happy and healthy if they're just in a cage and ignored. They need that daily interaction. But being hand-fed, being tamed, they're easy to handle, they're easy to control. When it is time to go back into their cage, pick them up, grab them, you can even control them, place them back in, we'll be perfectly happy. The problem with the untamed birds, they are fearful. They're not used to human contact. They will be scared. If you let them out of the cage, you will have to chase them down, catch them in a net, put them back. That is stressful. An untamed bird leads a much more stressful and lonely life than a fully tamed bird. They're not let out of the cage as often. They don't get as much stimulation, as much companionship. It's much better to have untamed birds in bonded pairs, so they need to have each other for company and for companionship. Fully tamed birds are fine to have as singles, just as long as you take them out for several hours each day and interact with them. That is the end of the first video of this series. As you said before, I'll be putting out a new video every week. The next 5 videos will be on each stage of the hand feeding process. Then I'll go on to other videos covering all topics of bird care. And of course there will be lots of other videos interspersed in there of the babies and the brooder during hand feeding and at play. And if anybody has any topics that you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. And if you'd like this video, I would like to see more, again, let me know in the comments. Any feedback would be appreciated. Alrighty, have a good day, and it's time for another hand feeding.